Happy New Year and welcome to More Than a Game. My name's Tommie MC and I'm joined by George and Andy. Boys, Happy New Year to you both. Any New Year's resolutions for either of you?
Wait,
George,
did you just refer to yourself as Tommie MC? Is that a new moniker?
New year.
I'm just leaning into the meme, boys. Leaning into the meme.
Right.
George, any New Year's resolutions?
No, nothing yet, mate. Nothing's come to mind. You've maybe just to leave the house soon. Soon, that would be good. Get vaccinated.
Andy, what about you, mate?
Not so many resolutions. I mean, we had a bit of time to reflect at New Year's. Normally, we'd probably, don black tie and go to the opera and that sort of stuff. But obviously, we weren't allowed to do that this year. So probably work on my putting. We played some mini golf at New Year's. And, I don't think either of us sunk a putt. So
it's close.
For New Year's, did the two of you just get troweled together, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you love to see it. You can just imagine you two having a New Year's kiss together. Oh, it'd be so sweet.
Well, depends who's asking, Tommie. Yeah. If the UK government's asking, it was just us two. But as friends, there may have been a few other people there. But we may have loosened up the bubble a little bit. But
a wink's as good as a nod to a blind bat. Already, boys.
No bat. Sensitive topic.
Too soon. All right, boys. A lot of football to cover today. We were meant to be talking some A-League first up, but I think Damo might be asleep. So we'll kick off into moment of the week, but it's going to be strictly Premier League today. Andy, you want to go first?
Sure. I was browsing the German newspapers as I often do.
Brushing up on your German.
Yeah, and we're always interested to see what sort of things footballers get up to outside of their playing career. And I came across one headline, and it was Müller will jetzt Sperma Millionär werden, which translates to Thomas Müller wants to become a sperm millionaire. Don't know if you guys caught this or not, but Thomas Müller and his wife, who's a Olympic dressage competitor, own a horse breeding farm for dressage horses, but it's actually now become an official EU horse insemination station.
Oh.
It's called Gut Wiltenkam, and he's got three trusty sort of stallions that they rely on there. One called Davy, one called Four Roses, and another called Bowmore. And Davy, it seems, is the most reliable. He's the Muller-esque of the stallions. Now, 2 rounds of insemination with Davy costs €1,600, plus 7% VAT and some other additional fees. I'm not sure what the other fees are for, maybe handling fees. But
handling, really?
Yeah, orders. So orders, if you'd like some of Davy's sperm, they've got to be placed by 10 a.m. on weekdays and 9:30 on weekends. They guarantee next day delivery. So I just thought this was interesting. Will's obviously very well set up for his career outside of football.
Look, that's all well and good, Andy, but I think what the listeners really want to know about is how does Brexit affect this?
Well, I think there might be a VAT issue there and some other.
So be aware. This time the costs of horse insemination might go up.
He might get stuck at the French border, just like many things at the moment.
Could this have been a real sticking issue for Britain moving forward as well? Could they be like, British horses come first?
Yeah.
Well, Davey comes first, and that's
yeah, that's right. Only if you pay, though. Only if you pay.
Wow. Yeah, a lot to digest there. Oh shit. Is there any more, or is that it?
Yeah, I think that's enough.
Oh, George, please save us.
Oh no, I wasn't going to save you boys. I'm sticking with the animal thing, but on the slightly food in a food sort of sense, not non-dissemination level chat there. It's the pig that Jose Mourinho bought Sergio Reguilon for Christmas because he was going to be by himself. Did you guys see this?
Didn't see this.
I'm glad you're here to explain this because I saw little tidbits about this, but I don't feel like I got the whole story.
So basically, Reguilon was going to be by himself for New Year's. So Jose Mourinho bought him a £500 pig. It's apparently, and it's a shame Jesse's not here, but it's a Portuguese and Spanish. It's thought highly of in Portugal and Spain.
Like a black pig? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Pig. Right. Okay. Not he didn't buy him like a pet pig.
No, I think if I can.
And for metric listeners, is that 250 kilos thereabouts?
Oh, I see. That's not going to work. But it was worth about £500, so maybe 950 AUD. So it's quite a special pig, and essentially a giant leg of ham. Now, Reguilon told Mourinho he was going to be by himself for New Year's or Christmas. I think it may have been Christmas actually. And obviously he'd be basically in his little bubble. He's obviously moved over here from Spain and doesn't know a lot of people, and so Jose was being really, really nice and looking after his well-being. But Sergio got an invite from Eric Lamela and Giovanni Lo Celso for a Christmas party and ended up going to quite a big party with looks like quite a few people there, and obviously breaching the COVID protocols, and God only knows if he brought the pig along or not. So and he was on the bench, and I think Lamela and Lo Celso were out of the squad for their game yesterday. So
was Reguilon one of the ones that lied about the party? Like, was he telling porkies or?
I don't know. I mean, yeah. So there's quite a good photo on the internet of the party. It looked like quite a good setup. A couple of Santa Clauses there, some kids, and some nice Christmas lights. But no pig in sight. So I don't know whether he left it there or brought it as a gift, and maybe Jose's mad because he may have re-gifted it. So that's my moment of the week and own goal in one.
I did hear, and I don't know if this is just a bit of a running joke or if it's legit or not, that Reguilon's vegan. I feel like that's straying into like massive bullying territory to give someone like a leg of ham when they're vegan.
Here you go, pussy.
Well, then that's just a straight own goal from Jose. Then I was giving Jose the moment of the week for presenting him the pig, but maybe if Reguilon's vegan, that's just insulting. So maybe he was right to re-gift it. Maybe he was just taking it to the party to make sure it was eaten.
Go to waste, yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon noting how many Argentinians, and I think there was a bunch of Argentinians there. I saw Lanzini made it. He got on the invite.
He was in there as Lamela, Lo Celso. So
plenty of meat eaters there, so I'm sure it would have got eaten if they.
Why would they have invited Reguilon if he was a vegan? Surely not. So let's myth busted. If
any of the listeners know whether or not Reguilon's vegan or not, please let us know. All right, for my moment of the week, originally I was going to go with an A-League theme, but on the spot I've had to come up with something a little more European, and instead I've gone along with the food theme too, but this one's got a bit of a vegan theme to it. Tommie Soucek, after scoring the winner against Everton, he was talking about how normally the Christmas New Year period is a bit of a struggle for him, and the first game after the New Year period especially is particularly difficult because normally he goes back to the Czech Republic and goes to to Christmas and New Year functions and eats heaps of potato salad. And so that's pretty much become like the theme in the last week in everything to do with Tommie Soucek online. Bucket loads of memes to do with Tommie Soucek and potato salad. So just going to see plenty of that popping up, I guess, in the next couple of weeks, I guess, over the festive period for Tommie Soucek and potato salad. Love to see it. Boys, all right, let's get into own goal, though. Andy, you want to go first?
Look, I was going to say, I suspect we'll be talking about this later, but it was mine was from the Man U Villa match, and Popper being caught on camera instructing Luke Shaw to dive. I suspect we'll talk about it if we discuss that match, but in short, Shaw had the opportunity in a penalty box, probably to go down, and he didn't. And probably caught on camera and gesticulating, but it would have been a better option for him.
Well, it was pretty clear, wasn't it?
Yeah, bad look.
Bad look, but all the players are doing it now. If they feel contact, they go down, and VAR gives them a penalty. So, is it bad, or is it just being a bit of gamesmanship?
Gamesmanship, I think, to do it. I think to be seen to to intentionally mislead officials or to go down artificially is still sort of frowned upon. It's a dirty secret. We all acknowledge that it's happening, and everyone's going to continue to do it.
Luke Shaw's just got to get his head in the game. Why does he need to be? Everyone else has got the memo. What's Luke Shaw been doing?
Well, again,
eating too much potato salad, Thomas Suchet.
Look, and I don't want to perpetuate a stereotype, but do you think, Tommie? Do you think Tellez would have needed to be instructed to go down in the box if he felt the same contact?
Absolutely not. He probably. I wonder if Alex Tellez was at the Spurs news party as well. Maybe they could have talked about it there.
I don't think you can. Yeah, I think he may have got in trouble for being going into a tier 4 area, Tommie. So I don't think that would have worked.
All right, but like Andy, like you say, I think there's a little bit more to cover there where we when we come back to Premier League chat in a second. George, what about you, mate?
Oh, look, I think my Christmas party thing was the own goal, but I've got another one, and I can't remember if I've mentioned it before, but it's really getting on my nerves when the broadcasters have to keep apologising to the crowd, to the audience for picking up some potentially flammable language or however they want to call it. Like, we know there's no crowd. We know the mics are on, and to be honest, we all want to be at games, so we want to hear that sort of language. So stop apologising for it. In fact, they should turn the microphone up so we can hear it.
I actually really like listening to the like the managers and the sideline and the players on the field, and because you can never normally hear it, so it's kind of a. If anything, I don't like that. Sometimes I think they try to drown that out with the crowd noise. I think that does it a bit of a disservice. Everyone
should play a drinking game. Just the amount of times they apologise for picking up the language. So yeah, it's starting to get on my nerves a little bit. It's been too long without crowds. So the 4 apologies per game is starting to grind my gears a bit.
4 is a lot, really, isn't it? You'd think one apology would be enough, and then, all right, let's move on. Okay, yep, all right, there's some more swearing. Okay,
yeah.
And if you've been in the crowd and sat, behind the goals, you've heard much worse at a game than whatever the players say. Like, I think it's quite fascinating because they're always switching between 4 languages on each team, and then the manager will say something. I find it really interesting.
Yeah, they should put subtitles on.
Yeah, just
encourage it.
We can all learn a few extra words in Portuguese, and it'll be good.
And explainers for sort of like what all the terminology means and whether or not it is racist or is it racist, depending on
who's
what Cavani's got to say.
It's Cavani or that's right. Good shout. What about you, Tommie?
All righty, boys. So for my own goal this week, we're headed to South America, to Paraguay, not a country that comes up a lot on More Than a Game, but this week it goes to Raul Bobadilla. He plays for Club Guarani in Paraguay and against, I'm going to struggle with this, but Guaranenha. And he scored a cracking goal, ran off to the sideline, off to the byline to celebrate near the corner flag, and he's ripped off his shirt. He's taken off the man's ear, which has like their little tracking device in it. He's ripped off that as well, and then he's gone to pull down his pants too, and he's sort of partially exposed himself. So it's not a full dick sort of video or full exposure, but he's apparently he's screaming at the camera saying, "This is all for you, baby. This is all for you," because recently he got caught cheating on his partner, on his wife or girlfriend. I'm not sure what it is, but
which one
just
was
love
it
to
for?
see it.
Yeah, who was it for? The mistress, the wife, the girlfriend?
Well, look, I'm going to assume it was for his partner or wife, but I guess you can never be too sure, can you?
Well, he probably says this to all girls,
It's all for you, baby. It's all for you.
All for you. He's very specific. He made a point not to name names.
Yeah.
Oh shit! But yeah, some dicks out at the football. I mean, Andy, have you ever wanted to do that whenever you want to, like one of your girls has come to futsal or something? Just rip off the shirt, rip off the bro, rip off the pants. Say, baby, this is all for you.
Firstly, I don't think if a girl ever watched me play futsal, I don't think she would be interested again. So I've made a point of keeping them away from the futsal court. And yeah.
Save it for Snapchat, I think. Save it for Snapchat.
My OnlyFans.
Yeah, OnlyFans. Yeah. That way you can generate some income from it as well. So. I've heard it's pretty lucrative. I've heard it's fairly lucrative. So
probably more income than what Andy's going to score from futsal goals.
Correct.
So.
Correct.
Alrighty, boys. Let's crack off into some Premier League chat then, shall we? First up, I'm keen to talk about what I think was probably the most keenly thought of match or keenly anticipated game of the round, which was Man United hosting Villa. Man United had the chance to go equal top if they got all 3 points, while Villa could have gone as high as second if they had won. But alas, Man United took away the victory, goals from Anthony Martial and a controversial penalty as well. Boys, we've mentioned this a little bit at the top already about Luke Shaw not diving, but look, the real controversial moment out of this was whether or not Pogba dived for the actual penalty, which I think was a couple of minutes later. What do you think? I know Jesse was blowing up in our MTAG group chat that this definitely wasn't a foul. What do you guys think it was?
No, I think he was close to him, but Pogba went down incredibly easily. And again, it made to look. I think there must be some element of confirmation bias here because we've just seen him instruct a few minutes earlier, instruct Luke Shaw to dive if he got the opportunity. So. There's got to be an element of that, but it did look like he went down very, very softly. So, yeah.
What about you, George?
Oh, it's just classic Pogba. He's always going to go down in that situation. So you guys don't think that Douglas Luiz's knee clipping Pogba's ankle? You don't think that's enough for a foul?
I think, again, there's contact. I think he was close to him, but... except he sort of throws his feet out from under him. That I actually thought probably played quite well, actually, up until that point, and which he seems to sort of do every time his agent mentions that he might be in the shop window again.
Well, remember he was garbage up until the point when, what's his name, Minarola popped out and said, yeah, Pogba's definitely going to be leaving. And then all of a sudden the following week, I think he scored a goal or scored a penalty or something.
Came on, yeah. One of those.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And now you sort of wonder, like, if anything, Solskjaer seems to have reverted back to playing sort of not a diamond midfield, but like just a flat midfield four, which Pogba's kind of on the left, and like there was one instance where who would have been playing on the right? I think it would have been Bertrand Traore. And you look at the two players and you think, yeah, Pogba's not going to keep up with him, and I think it was just a blur in the background as Pogba was trying to track him back. But do you guys think that that's actually going to be a good move for going forward for Man United and for Pogba, him playing basically as a left midfielder?
No, I mean we know his best spot is on the left in a three. Like that's unanimous. That's where he's always had his best performances. And they've tried any other variation on spots to put him in the midfield. They've tried to play him as a 10. They've tried to play him like further wide, like in the middle. Like, we know what the best spot to put him in. So I don't know, if you're not going to have the right formation for him, then it's a bit of a waste. So
I kind of wondered if like Pogba's a player that seems to revel in positions where he's given quite a strict structure. I mean, he was given quite a specific sort of niche at Juventus on the left side of that diamond midfield, and his best performances probably in the last few years have come when he's played for France in sort of like a double pivot alongside Kante. And I almost wonder if, apart from maybe not defensively but offensively, putting him, I guess, basically as a left midfielder could actually sort of be some of the structure that he's maybe been craving for the last few years, but just hasn't been given.
Yeah, and just on Man U as a whole, like I find like when they've got to take the game to teams and they're playing your Fred McTominay and Fernandez. Sometimes it's just all on Bruno. So they're not going to. I can't see them winning anything unless they have sort of an extra midfielder in there to be able to create and do something. So you've seen them so many times, struggle to break teams down. At least with Pogba anywhere on the field, he's capable of a through ball or doing something that might sort of get the attacks going. So I'm more inclined to have him on the field than not, despite his defensive deficiencies. And just how the fuck are Man U equal first? Like, what is going on? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, they've been dog shit, and yet they're equal on points with Liverpool. So, it goes to show what we know. Or, Solskjaer's, manager of the year. I don't know. I'm very confused. I don't know what's going on.
For 2020 or 2021?
2021.
The year that doesn't exist. I will make a point. I'm sure and this I think comes up again when you talk about most teams and their form, is that I know Christmas is the usual measuring stick for where we are in the season, but I don't know in this, because of it, the frequency of matches and the fixture congestion. I don't know if we've had, and the late start, I don't know if we're actually halfway yet, but also because the games are so close together, teams gain momentum and lose momentum incredibly quickly. And it only takes a minute to string together 3 wins in a week, and all of a sudden you're flying up the table. So I think we will see a massive correction. And you've got to remember, and I'm sure we'll come to this again later as well, some teams have played 17 matches and others have played 14 in one case. So a few seasons ago, we had that false table situation where there was, I think, City and a couple of other clubs that played 3-4 games less than everyone else. And then towards the end, there was a massive correction. I think that's kind of the case here. I don't think they will stay second. I'm ignoring the table for now.
Well, that's a good point. City still have 2 games to play, and they, I think, can go level on points with Man United if they win both of those games.
14 games, but no, all the top teams have only played 16.
So
it's the bottom. Just your West Hams and your Arsenal and Leeds have played 17, and they're mid-table.
So you're right. I think it is a little bit. It's a little bit tricky to know sort of who's going to actually sort of sit where. Noting that because I think Man United do have a game in hand to come still against. I think it's Burnley, but not really sure when that's actually going to be played. I think that was one of the. That might have been one of the games very early on in the season, or it was just not even considered for a match day yet. So I'm not really sure how that's all going to work out, but excuse me. So, look, we talked a lot about Man United, and I think we're all joint in confusion about where or why Man United are so high. But Villa, like I said, could have gone second in this match, and they've sort of they've been good in bursts, obviously thrashing Liverpool early on in the season, which still kind of boggles the mind a bit how they managed to put 7 past Liverpool not that long ago. It does feel a bit strange still, doesn't it? But they have been fantastic for long stretches of the season, and Grealish has been probably one of the players of the season thus far. But where do we think Villa's going to end up sort of come season's end? I mean, they're still thereabouts for a European spot, and I think that's a realistic goal for them. Do you guys think they're going to finish in a Europa League spot or higher?
Yeah, they could. Definitely potential. I mean, Ross Barkley's been injured as per normal so I think
some things remain the same.
Yeah. So I think they need him to come back just to give them, because it's pretty reliant on Grealish. Yeah. When at least you had 2 of them, they were able to sort of create off each other. So I think that he's a big out. So I think if he comes back and gets back into that form he was in, then they're a chance for Europa League spots for sure.
And that is a good point. Like, we've seen how many people have gotten soft tissue injuries this year, but if Grealish gets an injury, like, Villa are fucked, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, he's got strong calves and backside, so hopefully it holds up for the full season. But
But you're right. They are sort of informed that El Ghazi in the last couple of weeks has looked great.
Yeah, Traore's good. Emi Martinez as well. So
the goals aren't coming for Ollie Watkins, but he seems to always be in the right position and get 10 chances a game. So if he can sort of kick into form, then I don't know. There are spots outside of Grealish.
It's a good point you make about Ollie Watkins. He hasn't scored in 7 now for Villa after a pretty good start to the season. But I guess you do have to wonder, like you do start to need to start putting away some of those chances that he gets, because otherwise, I mean, even in the game like this where they only lost by 1, if Watkins scores one of the chances that he gets, obviously they take a point away from it, and not only do they get a point, but one of their closest rivals doesn't get points too. So, I think if Watkins is able to become a bit more clinical, then they're going to be a far greater shout for a Europa League or even higher spot coming into the season.
I saw something about Wesley potentially coming back, so they'll have a backup average forward to come in.
For a second, I thought you meant like back to the club, but I'd forgotten that he never left. He's just been injured this whole time.
He's now, I think. So I think he's coming back.
Oh, geez, I'd completely forgotten about him. And even looking at the lineups for this, I saw Tom Heaton, and I thought, oh, is he still there? And again, another player who I just completely forgot was still at Villa. But anyway. All right, moving on though. So Tottenham hosted Leeds in probably the other keenly anticipated game of the round. In this one, some days everything comes off for you, and that was Leeds against West Brom last week. And then some days just nothing comes off for you. And that was Leeds against Spurs this week. Tough day at the office for Leeds as their travels to North London as they went down 3-0. Boys, this seemed not routine for Spurs, but they did seem to do it in a bit of a canter, didn't they?
Well, you just knew they were just going to wait to pick Leeds off, and then they just did it. Like it was like 2-0 at half time. You know, I mean, one of them was one of those sort of contentious type penalties where there was sort of arguably contact, and Bergwijn went down. But then I
think. Mate, the only thing contentious was about that was whether I was inside the box or outside the box.
Yeah, it was a bit of a dumb challenge.
Yeah, look, he came, I think, from a little bit on the blind side, but I think that was definitely a pen for me.
Yeah. Just you could just see it happening, I guess. So it's probably just silly defending as opposed to a non-contentious or not contentious. And then just Spurs were picking them off. You know, Son scored a nice goal.
Yeah, the ball from Kane was elite, but more in both that goal and a couple of other times. What's his name? Norwegian guy.
Højbjerg. We need Colby for the pronunciation. Excuse me, Colby. Sorry.
There was a good amount of mayo on that. I appreciate it.
For like 4 to 5 times the match, like quickly win the ball and release it, and that 3 or 4 times, that's exactly how Spurs kept getting in behind. So he had a great game.
I think he's been one of the signings of the season because I don't think you can look at many other teams in the league and maybe Emi Martinez is probably the only one that really rivals him, I think, for impact.
Well, he was there last year.
Yeah, exactly. He was last season's.
Just Donny van der Beek as well. Yeah. So
Alex Tellers.
I think, yeah. Yeah, it's a fair shout, Tommie. That's a fair shout.
Although I did remember when at the start of the season, his first 2 matches, I thought
his first game was so bad.
His first game was so bad. It was like, what do I determine?
Wasn't that against Everton? And from memory, Spurs were just bad in general that game.
Yeah. Everyone had written them off, and then everyone had picked them for the title. So now they've sort of leveled out a little bit.
The strange thing about this season is that every so often Spurs are having one of those games where they're just absolutely dog shit and nothing comes off for them. Like they'll have multiple players that'll just be terrible, and that game was one of them. And I can't remember who it was recently, but Spurs are having one of those games about every sort of 5 or 6 games where you think Mourinho would be pulling his hair out and absolutely going nuts at the players sort of in the lead up to one of these games. But and I think sorry, mate.
I was saying, I think it was. I heard on the radio this morning was Son's 100th goal for Spurs, so it's pretty incredible signing. And what a great player.
Yeah, I guess on that topic as well, Kane reached 10 goals and 10 assists this season. I believe it's the fastest that it's happened in the Premier League. So one thing I did catch as a result of this was that there was a little bit of talk that Spurs are too reliant upon Son and Kane. Boys, how ridiculous is that comment?
By being reliant on your best players.
Yeah. Why can't you rely on your best players who have an amazing combination?
I feel stupid for even giving it some airtime, but I saw it on like the Optus front page, and I thought that is so fucking stupid. But
yeah, I will say though, if Harry Kane doesn't play and gets injured, they don't have a ready-made replacement, so they can play like the fast guys up front. But as we saw last year, it really affected them when he wasn't there. I know Son wasn't there for part of it as well. So it'll be, I think Jose will be looking to strengthen in the transfer window, which should be coming up soon, I think. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch whether they get a backup striker.
And there's a particularly nasty former Premier League striker who's now in the market looking for a club.
Yeah, it looks like but I think Wolves. I think all the rumours are Wolves are going to get him, which is an interesting fit. But I guess with Jimenez out.
Did Diego Costa play for Jose at Chelsea, or was that Conte? Conte era.
I thought he did play for him. Oh, maybe it was Conte. I don't know.
Well, we definitely won the title with Conte and Diego Costa.
Yeah,
I can't remember whether Jose signed him first. There's too many changes of manager, but yeah, we definitely won the title when Conte texted him saying don't come back. So
brutal.
Well, I guess going to Milan, if you know what I mean.
Which going off of sort of current Interform, you would have actually thought that he might have been a decent shout to go there, considering how they just seem to be accumulating ex-Premier League older players. Boys, one final thing from this match though, Matt Doherty was sent off for a second yellow in injury time. How dumb was this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry, mate?
No, I was just shaking my head. It was dumb as shit.
We were talking before about how Jose must be just sort of pulling his hair out. He probably would have put on Ben Davies and Matt Doherty, thinking, "Yep, okay, cool. Like two defensively sound fullbacks should be in the clear here. Should be able to get a clean sheet, no red cards." And then Doherty does that in extra time. Just you must be absolutely livid at him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get a game now for quite a while, even after he sits out his suspension.
I've got to dig out this article that I remember seeing. Some Spurs fan had done it, obviously mid-December, but had done a game-by-game analysis of Aurier and Doherty, and it was favourable to Aurier, like stats-wise. I thought he'd had the better performances in less games against better teams, including defensively. It's a big surprise.
Yeah, I know. In previous years, Aurier has just been a walking penalty or a walking own goal, and I think Mourinho even said so in the Amazon doco at one point. Which, I mean, everyone's thinking it, but it's a different thing for your boss to say it to you at training, I guess. But I don't think. I think that's something that a lot of people wouldn't have had on their 2021 bingo card, was for Serge Aurier to turn into a decent defender.
Yeah. And I just checked, Jose did sign Diego Costa, so I think that's a good one to throw into the rumour mill, Tommie. So there you go.
There you go, a little M-Tag exclusive, ladies and gents. Boys, one final thing, another 3 goals against for Leeds. That gives them a goal difference of -3, but they've still got the fourth best goals for in the league, with only Liverpool, Man United and Chelsea having scored more. We've talked about this previously on the pod about Leeds, and how they don't really change their approach. It's just always the same. It's always just attack. But I guess in games where they score a bunch and everyone goes, yeah, cool, how fun was that? But I guess should Leeds be maybe tempering their approach in sort of the final 30 minutes if they're not looking like they're going to get back into the game?
I would be more I'd be more interested to see what they do, because in certain games where they're going to need to win certain games, and if they take a 1-0 lead, I'd be interested to see whether they'd actually try and temper their approach to hold a lead, because it doesn't seem like they ever will. And if it comes down to the point where they need to get points, then it's something that they should. I think they should consider doing it, because at the moment they don't, and they're always a chance to concede a goal. So I don't care whether they like. There's
they're behind. Like,
there's no difference. No, there's no difference between losing 2-0 and 3 or 4-0, whatever. If you're losing, you're losing. I'm more interested to see whether they would try and lock a game up when they're a goal ahead, because it doesn't seem like they would. And it always looks like you can score past leads. Like there's never a moment in a game where they're not susceptible to a counter attack. So they're always able to potentially score, but they've probably they've come out sort of even with wins and losses where they're with this approach, and they'll probably comfortably finish mid-table. But could they be a little bit more pragmatic and get higher up the table? It's probably not that important this year because they're not going to challenge for Europe. I think so. He's probably not going to temper his approach, but I think they should, because it's silly to try and beat Spurs at their own game when Spurs are a counter-attacking team. And you could have penciled in a 3-0 before the game even started. I know Leeds had chances, but yeah, in my opinion, against teams who are looking to pick them off, I think it's a bit naive personally.
Fair enough. All right. Next up, we're going to cover Everton hosting West Ham. Now, here's another one where you probably, in hindsight, we probably could have picked off that West Ham were going to get a result here, because I mean, whenever expectations seem to be high for Everton, they just seem to basically shit the bed. But here were two teams that looked like they were coping with a bit of a New Year's Day hangover. Both teams looked like they'd had a bit of a night on the tins the previous night. Both a bit flat. Intensity not real great in this game, which made for a pretty flat match to watch. I don't know if you guys watched this one, but it wasn't a great watch.
Definitely not. Glad you're here, Tommie, because neither of us saw it. Well, describe it to us.
Look, to be honest, I don't think I can give you a much better description than that. But look, to be from a statistical point of view. From a statistical point of view, I think it was 60 minutes before there was a shot on target by either team or just Everton. And I mean, West Ham goalkeeper Lucas Fabianski got injured in the warm-up, so you'd think that Everton would have just been peppering standing goalkeeper Darren Randolph, but alas, it just wasn't to be. And so for Thomas Souček to nick in on the 86th minute and score the winner, just seemed to be that kind of game for Everton. Good result, obviously, for West Ham. And boys, I do want to throw it out there. This might be one that you guys can answer, considering you didn't watch the game. But is there a better centre midfield pairing at the moment in the league other than Souček and Rice?
I think there's plenty of better midfield pairings than Souček and Rice.
Such as? So you can't name one. You can't name one, can you, Josh?
Well, let's take it from the top of the ladder. Do you want me to run through? The entire? There's plenty of better ones.
Are you going to say Curtis Jones is better than Thomas Souček?
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. He probably will be, but not right now.
Exactly, mate. So you can't find an established
two. They're a solid
in the league.
Solid mid-table obscurity midfield pairing.
That's great.
I'm not going to bite to that, boys. I'm not going to bite to that. Moving on, though, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has gone 7 games now without scoring. Boys, do you think he's just not getting the service without Hummers there over the last month or so? Or do you think maybe it's just in his head now?
It's all about his head. But, I think it's a service thing. Digne was out as well. I don't know if he was back. Without pinpoint balls in the box, he's not going to score. He doesn't really score with his feet too much unless it's sort of a scrappy kind of, goal mouth kind of thing where he just jumps at it first. So, he needs the service. So if they're not providing the service, then, he's not going to score. He's not going to be able to score on his own effectively.
Fair enough. All right, boys, noting that neither of you saw that game, there's probably not much more to discuss about it. And to be honest, I don't think there's really much to talk about from that anyway, other than the fact that Everton lost when they were expected to win. The Moiseiah does it again. All right, boys, West Brom hosted Arsenal in the snow, which I think this might be the first is this the first match, at least in the Premier League, this season where they've played in the snow?
I think so. Yeah, it was pretty incredible watching it. Just about 5 minutes before they started, the pitch was completely covered, and Good work from the West Brom groundsman. They should have just let the pitch be filled with snow and postponed the game. Strategically, it was a bad move. It was a bad move by the West Brom people.
Yeah, they could have taken a leaf out of City's book of just hatching up an excuse not to play.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't need it. They could have just let the snow fucking just fall, and they would have been sweet.
Oh shit! But West Brom were dispatched to the snowy boundary for 4 as Arsenal rediscovered their mojo. A pair from Lacazette and single goals for Saka and Tierney gave Arsenal 3 points in really what was a bit of a canter. Boys, you may not have seen Everton West Ham, but did you catch the goals for this one?
Yeah. Arsenal just Tierney's goal was quality. I mean, I can't remember who the right back was, but he was a ghost. He was
centered around him and then ghost in.
Turned him 3 times and then drilled it with his right foot. And then it was
actually your boy. It was Ivanovic.
No, it wasn't.
He was playing in the middle, wasn't he?
Yeah, not for Tierney's goal. Not for Tierney's goal.
No, it was someone else.
Don't worry, we watched this game, Tommie. It's fine. Can confirm.
They should have known because they were saying at half time Tierney was being complimented for warming up in a t-shirt.
Yeah, he doesn't care about the cold. He was the one guy where he was still wearing a t-shirt. Yeah, he didn't wear the long sleeves either. So these conditions suited him down to a T.
Probably pretty hot compared to Scottish weather.
Sweating. And then, that's 3 wins in a row, isn't it, for Arsenal? And I've got to say, Saka and Smith Rowe look absolute gems. I mean, everyone knew Saka was good, but then Smith Rowe coming into the team, he looks like a real – he's like a sort of Grealish type guy, operator with his low socks and sort of finding those pockets. So, I think they've sort of stumbled upon a winning formula somehow.
You mentioned him at the top, Andy, and he, for me, actually reminds me a little bit of Thomas Muller. Like he's not he doesn't like to dribble. He doesn't play like long crossfield balls or anything like that. But he just finds space and he utilizes it well. I don't know if that's a good compliment. Way of
moving, but like kind of just gets through. I see it. Weird sort of gallop.
Yeah, that too.
Not to mention horses again. I don't want to come back to that.
We just come around in circles, don't we? Boys, Arnab wants to know, should Arsenal persist with chasing Aouar, or should they stick with Emil Smith-Rowe?
I still think you should go for Aouar.
Stick with what you've got. Why not? This guy's going to need game time to develop, and if you bring another attacking midfielder into it, it's going to kind of stunt his growth. I mean, you still haven't seen Partey's played like 2 games as well. Like, just have Arteta's taken so long to stumble upon an actual formula that works, and then introducing someone else, another big guy coming in, may not work, may work. I don't know. I don't know too much about him. And I haven't seen much of his play, but it seems to be Arteta's taken more than a year to kind of find something, and he's stumbled upon a formula that seems to be working. I know there's a lot of reliance on young guys, but you've still got Aubameyang and Lacazette up front, a few other experienced guys in the team as well. So keep it going. He's fluked it somehow. 3 weeks ago, everyone was saying he was going to get sacked. So.
Yeah, the Arteta out crowd are pretty quiet at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. So,
although we were all saying that going for just sticking with Emil Smith-Rowe is probably the sensible way to go. So that pretty much guarantees that Arsenal will go out and sign Aouar and pay way overs for a French player with a big reputation, right?
And also, West Brom are dog shit. So let's temper the Arsenal for the title chat as well. So they made Arsenal, look really good. Like, some of Arsenal's goals were really exceptional, but there were traffic cones just defending. So keep that in mind.
Mate, so they've shipped 9 goals in their last 2 games and 0 goals scored. Yet they're still way above Sheffield United. How is that possible?
Yeah, exactly.
This table makes no sense.
Yeah, and they've played 2 more games. Well, Fulham's game today was postponed as well, so they've played 2 more games than Fulham, but they're 3 points behind. And Brighton. I'm sure we'll talk about Brighton, but they've played 2 more games than Fulham, and they're 3 points ahead. So yeah.
Look, George, I don't think there's any time better than now to talk about Brighton. Then Brighton and Portugal. Wolves played an exciting 3-3 draw with Matty Ryan left out of the Brighton squad yet again. Lee Broxham Fax wants to know where Matty Ryan should go this January. He thinks he questions whether Leeds could be a good fit.
You could definitely get a lot of work at Leeds. They've sort of backed that Melier most games, so I don't know. I mean, he could be a good signing. I'm just sort of flicking.
Don't Arsenal need a good backup? They play.
I don't think he should go
the Arsenal backup.
Yeah, no. The sad thing is, like, most Premier League teams have a pretty settled goalkeeper. I mean, I'm trying to think who's actually, now that Kepa's sort of been retired, I'm trying to think who's having major goalkeeping issues. So it doesn't seem like many teams have a massive keeper problem.
It's unusual, isn't it? Because normally we get to this point every year and there's one particular club that's really battling with their goalkeeper situation.
Yeah.
Or one of the big teams has a goalkeeper. Yeah, you're right. This is a little bit strange. In fact, it might actually mean that for Matty Ryan, he might be best to go
to Oldham with Harry Hill. That was a joke. Calm down.
If I tell you what though, if it hadn't have been for Kevin Muscat getting sacked, I think Matty Ryan going back to Belgium wouldn't have been such a bad thing. Maybe not for the.
That's a serious step down. But I think he'll go for a loan somewhere. I think he just has to get out of Brighton because, it's a shame. And then that Sanchez, I think it is. Is it Sanchez? He didn't look fantastic last night. He was probably culpable for one of the goals at least.
Yeah, I think which one was it? Was it
he palmed onto
a lot of goals?
Yeah,
that's right. It was the Dan Burn own goal.
Yeah. With the Sanchez.
Dan Burn.
Yeah.
How unlucky was Dan Burn in this game?
Well, he gave away a penalty, didn't he? So.
Well, yeah, there was the own goal and the penalty both in the space of 10 minutes, which at that point you're probably just thinking, fuck, how much worse can this get? But I think I think he might have gone off. I think he might have gotten substituted. I'm not sure if that was an injury or not, but geez, I reckon getting injured, you'd almost be hopeful for an injury at that point. Just get me off. Just get me off. The injury dive.
Yeah. No, but they did pretty well. The thing that saved them was scoring in the first minute of the second half to get that to get it back, to get a goal back, because they were looking like they were gone for all money at the end of the first half. So Mopé scoring that penalty was massive for them. And then they went pretty hard towards the end of the game, and Wolves will be kicking themselves that they couldn't hold on because they just didn't have enough. And I think Wolves, Neto was really good, but I think Silva just needs a lot more time to develop, and that's why the Diego Costa signing might be a shrewd bit of business, because they kind of need a backup striker because Silva doesn't seem to be ready yet for
the poor kid's 17, and
no one's saying that.
I only saw the 3-minute highlights for this game, but I don't think I saw Fabio Silva in any of the highlights, and that's not great for your striker, is it? That they're not involved in any of the highlights.
In his defense,
there was 6 goals.
Yeah, he scored 3 goals. He wasn't involved.
No, but in his defense as well, like they're used to having Jimenez play up front, and he's a very different striker. And Wolves don't really change the way they play, so it sort of doesn't really suit him at all. And he's trying, but the way they play doesn't suit that sort of striker. But it's good to see Traore back in the starting lineup and causing all sorts of havoc.
He won the penalty that Dan Burden gave away. You're right. Good to see him involved again. Boys, moving on to, I think it's the final game, which was Crystal Palace hosting Sheffield United. Damo, Sheffield United. Sheffield United continued their poor run of form. Jeffrey Sharp opening the account for for Crystal Palace in the 4th minute, which is probably the worst possible start for Sheffield United.
Yeah.
How many times have we said that this season?
And yeah, you're right. Like you can't, even if you do play well for 80 minutes, if you have a really slow start, and they're not scoring a lot of goals either. So, as a bunch of teams have demonstrated in previous years, you can, if you get 18 scoreless draws away from home and you jag the odd home victory, you're going to stay up. But yeah, if you're just conceding stupid goals and pretty easy goals like that second goal, I'm going to put that into the easy soft goal category rather than the one goal category.
Yeah, thank you. Damo disagreed with me. He said it was harsh. It was a brilliant play. Look, it was a good run, but
look, he beats 2 players, then runs 40 meters, and when he's untouched. I think to be fair to Eze, I think he looks like he's just jogging, but he seems to have a pretty decent turn of speed. But I tell you what, it does remind me of. It reminded me a hell of a lot of the Son goal, which I think ended up winning the Puskas Award. Yeah. And for me, I thought that was ridiculous because I thought it was very similar to this. And Andy, I think you'll agree with me that it was just Son. He skinned one player, then ran 40 meters, and with a bloke next to him, pretty much had like an NFL style blocker next to him with no one challenging him, and decent finish, sure, but
so Tommie, what you're saying is goals against Burnley or Sheffield United shouldn't count as goals this season. That's what it sounds like to me.
That is a fantastic shout, and I'm all for it. Boys, look. If there's probably only one other thing to talk about this game, and that's Sheffield United still without a win. We're approaching the halfway point in the season, and not really sure where they're going to get their first win of the season from. Their next 5 games are at home to Newcastle, Spurs, away at Manchester United, away at Manchester City, and then at home to West Brom. Which one of those are they going to get a win from?
Any of them? Could be any of them. Probably none of them.
Probably none of them.
No, they'll be really targeting that West Brom game. If that's a 0-0 draw, I'm just going to go nuts.
You can just imagine Chris Wilder just absolutely kicking, just going nuts as well, right? If they don't end up winning that game. But what I can actually see happening is I reckon they'll beat one of Spurs, Man United, or Man City, and then they'll lose. Then they'll lose to West Brom.
Okay, then they'll get hammered by West Brom.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, well, they're looking at what? I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but what's the longest time for not winning? Have they got that yet, or was that Derby or something? Yeah, so they're getting it. They're coming into record territory, I think, or at some point they will be.
Which is weird because I think I don't know if Damo would still say this, but I only saw the highlights of this game, but for me, Sheffield United, they're not. They never go out and get spanked. They haven't conceded. Yeah. Their goal difference is still very respectable considering they haven't won any games yet.
Yeah. I mean, their goals for is a massive problem though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
They do seem to lose a lot by a goal of 1-0 or 2-1. But it's only for so long you can say they're unlucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. You've got to make your own luck, right? All right, boys, a few previews still to come, though. I think, Andy, you mentioned it already about the Burnley-Fulham game has been cancelled due to player unavailability due to COVID. But there's still 3 matches left in this match game week. You've got Newcastle hosting Leicester. Andy, you got who do you think is going to win and why?
I'll tell you what, Tommie. I think Leicester will win, and the reason is that the aggregate score from the last 3 matches these teams have played is 11-0 to Leicester.
Wowie.
Yeah, and I'm not a stat expert, but I don't know. Recent form suggests Leicester. Superior team. I think Rodgers will sort of rotate to his better lineup. Purely just a better team on paper. Newcastle just not a particularly entertaining team to watch. Neither are Leicester sometimes, but just think it's a superior side with the ball. So
fair enough. George, Southampton are hosting Liverpool. Have you got a prediction and why for this one?
I didn't know this game was being played. Actually,
surprise!
Must be a Monday night. Must be a Monday night game. I think this will be
right at the run sheet.
No, never do, Tommie. Don't worry. No risk of that ever happening. This is a good game, actually. I'm looking forward to it. Ingsy's back, so I think he might try and do a number on his old side. I'm gonna say this is going to be a 2-2. Liverpool haven't been awesome of late, and always susceptible to conceding a goal with the defence that they've got in at the moment. So they're good for goals, but I'm going to say 2-2. I'm going to back the Saints in. I think they're playing at home, so yeah. Interesting.
All right, boys. We're on to one of the big matches of the round, though. George's Chelsea hosting Manchester City. Probably one of the best attacking sides in the league this season. In Chelsea hosting City, one of the best.
Wow, that's very complimentary.
Haven't seen them recently, mate. So. Hosting one of the best defensive sides in the league, Man City. So. George, we'll throw to you first, mate. You can set the scene for us. Who are you predicting to win this one?
I honestly have no idea. Like Chelsea have been just very inconsistent, and it'll be interesting. I don't know what Frank's going to do with his lineup. You know, there's a lot of pressure to keep Timo on the bench due to his sort of confidence issues. I will say, in Timo's defence, he's used to having a month off at Christmas, and he doesn't get that in England. So there's a bit of an adjustment phase that he needs to sort of get his head around, and it doesn't help. When you're playing poorly and you have to keep playing every 3 days. So,
well, mate, he's had a month off from scoring goals, so he's right to go.
He sure has. So, yeah, I actually think what I'd like to see is Pulisic, Giroud, and Hudson-Odoi as our front three, because I think they're our most informed players. So. And I think Ziyech might be back as well on the bench, so that's a massive boost. And yeah, I think our attacking midfield is going to be sharp, and they're going to give City problems. It's just a matter of whether Chelsea can score, and obviously where Chelsea's always good for conceding a goal or two at the moment. So I think this will be another high scoring, entertaining game.
You think it will be, or it won't be? Sorry.
Oh, it will be.
I think that's a great shout about Hudson-Odoi. I think he's a player that probably hasn't got the game time that he should have this season, shown that he's a really great direct player and takes a player on and just makes things happen in a way that a lot of people expect will happen for Pulisic.
Yeah, and if Giroud's Tammy's decent in the air, but Giroud's obviously world class in the air. So if you've got two guys that can get to the byline, whip it across, Giroud's always a chance if you can find him in the box. So, yeah, I'd like to see that. I think that's our best at the moment. That's our best avenue to score until Ziyech comes back fully fit.
I think Ederson is doubtful as well, which would be a factor.
Who? Sorry,
Ederson.
Who's City's backup goalkeeper? Richard Wright.
Actually. It's not bloody Claudio Bravo still.
No.
Is that young guy, Merrick or something? Merrick?
Yeah, so I think...
it's Scott Carson, I think.
Scott Carson. Fuck.
How old is he? Fuck. He's at my dad's age. Gee whiz. I think Chelsea should play with...
He's 35. He's actually not that old. Yeah.
Shit. He's my age. Gee whiz.
Mate, well, maybe we found out if Edison's out, maybe we found out if Edison's out, maybe we found a home for Matty Ryan. We could go to City.
Maybe Timo should play. Start him up front. Put him down the middle.
He could. Matty Ryan could do a Roberto Martinez and fail up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But, all right, boys. All right. George, come on, mate. You're gonna have to get off the fence, mate, and tell us what your score prediction is here.
Well, with this news, I think Chelsea with the win. Give us a 2-1. I'll take a 2-1 to the bank.
Andy, what about you, mate? Who are you picking for the win for this and why?
2-1 the other way.
2-1 to City.
Yeah.
I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if this one turns out to be a little bit like the Manchester derby from, I think it was about a month ago, which everyone had high hopes for, but turns out to be a bit of a fizzer. excuse me, I don't think both teams are in particularly good form going forward. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 0-0 draw. I'm really hoping it's not. And I mean, I gassed up the Manchester derby last time thinking how excited I was. But yeah, maybe if I say this one will finish 0-0 draw, then it will actually finish like a 4-4 thriller or something like that. But anyway, all right. Look, that wraps things up for the Premier League. But one final thing before we cut out, got an FPL prize to give away. So another month, and I guess all the listeners are probably thinking, bloody hell, I hope another More Than a Game host doesn't take home the prize.
It's fucking Jesse, isn't it? I checked the table the other day.
Well, look, for the listeners' sake, no, it wasn't Jesse, but he is actually still he's still in the overall lead though, which yeah, look, there was screams of rigged last time, so I can't guarantee that Jesse's not going to win the whole thing, but if he does win the whole thing, well, you can't say that was rigged because that would be pretty fucking hard to rig. As it turns out, though, there were 5 players in the monthly overall rankings that that hadn't paid to enter. So as it turns out, the 6th best player is going to be the one who's actually going to take away the prize this month, and it's Michael Emerson Jones. He's going to take away this month's prize. So congratulations, Michael. But I think there'd be a lot of listeners that would think that there's a little bit of luck involved there, given that you actually finished 6th.
I think one of my mates, a killer, would be in the non-paying lead. I think he was probably up.
That surprised me at all.
Yeah.
Are they a bit skint, are they? Alrighty, boys.
The only other thing I'd like to bring up, Tommie, before the end of this is, I mean, this is going to be hard for people listening in the podcast, but it looks like you're coming from a sauna at the moment. So can you explain to me what the setup here?
This is my bedroom.
I'm expecting to see like a man in a bathrobe, you know, coming from the steam room just in the background. I've been waiting all day for it.
Hot
yeah. You're just wearing a towel underneath, aren't you?
In fact, that's the towel you can see over my.
Right. So no towel. Like it.
It's your beard, baby.
You might be breaking a few laws where you are there, Tommie, by doing that.
That's what you're talking about, mate. All right, boys. It's been a pleasure catching up with the two of you. It's been a pleasure catching up with the listeners once again as well. But that's everything for this episode of More Than a Game. We might be rolling out another episode in the next 24 hours or so. Hopefully, if I can catch up with Damo and we can talk some A-League. But for now, that's everything. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time.